When you see this icon on a More Lesson slide, that means TallyShare. TallyShare is a strategy you can use to gather student thinking. It's an alternative to calling on hands. Calling on hands is one of the most common ways to gather student thinking. The teacher poses a question, students raise their hands or not, and the teacher calls on one student to answer. The teacher may call on a second or a third student. TallyShare starts off the same way, calling on hands, but then takes a different turn. Let's look at an example. In this second grade More lesson, students are listening to a read aloud about a field trip to the Mix and Freeze factory. Here's what it might sound like to introduce students to a tally share for the first time. Who can raise their hand and tell me one resource that is available at the Mix and Freeze factory? Milk. I'm going to write that up here. Milk. Who else had that same idea? Raise your hand if you had that same idea. And then I'm going to count the number. 6 plus 6. I can see that many of us heard the detail that there is milk at the factory and think that milk is a resource. Raise your hand if you had a different idea. I shouldn't hear that same idea that was just said, milk, because we're listening to each other and now we're sharing different ideas. Raise your hand if you had a different idea. Sugar. I'm going to write sugar up here. Sugar. Who else was thinking sugar is a resource at the Mix and Freeze factory? 3. Sugar. Who had a different idea? And so on. We want to hear from all students, and we want students to learn to listen to each other. Not all students are going to raise their hand to offer an answer when you call on hands. That doesn't mean that they don't have an idea. TallyShare gives these students an opportunity to weigh in and a reason to listen to their peers. Is the idea that's being shared similar to my ideas or different?